everyone, and welcome back to Lucky Loads 15, where I'll be giving you 6 of my best tips for tomorrow's racing. Now, before we get stuck into that, I just want to go through a couple of things with you. Now, first of all, if you haven't done so already, make sure you check out the latest episode of the In the Saddle podcast, where it's myself, Katie Clements, Mark Karofsky and Paul Callahan talking about the weekend's racing. And also as well, we give our thoughts and feelings on the Gordon Elliott situation. So if you want to listen to that, there's links to it in the description box below, where we've got all the major podcast platforms covered, including the likes of Apple, Spotify, Soundcloud, whichever one takes your fancy. Just make sure you hit one of the links in the description box below. Now, also as well, before I give you those tips for tomorrow, I quickly just want to reflect on how our selections performed today. It was a frustrating day here on our YouTube channel, as our Nap Zalvados was a non-runner, so we didn't get to see him perform today. The next best at Doncaster, a Little Chaos, was very disappointing. She was beaten quite a way out, to be honest with you. Kieran Gethins never looked entirely happy, but I think really the fact that she wasn't able to get her own way up in front really did pay to her chances, because I think she's one of those horses that just like to go from the front, because if you've watched her previous races, that's the way she likes to race. And I think just being boxed in around other horses, I think it just didn't help her confidence at all, and that's why I think she underperformed today. So that was a little bit frustrating there. But the one that I was most frustrated about today was Guernsey for Phil Hobbs and Ben Jones. Now, it was quite well supported, and in the end, I think that rummaging just before they entered the home straight really did pay to his chances. He was travelling okay at the time, he was still in contention. I think he probably would have placed if he got a smoother passage, because if you go back and watch the race just before they swung into the home turn, he was really inconvenienced, and I think that's what the argument was between Lorcan Williams and Paige Fuller was about after the race. You might have seen the video going around on social media, and they did have a steward's inquiry over that incident, and I think it was to do with Guernsey being hampered, and Lorcan Williams, I know, was definitely involved in that, and yeah, he was having a right go at Paige Fuller. But yeah, they were both actually suspended for that incident for 4 days. So yeah, Guernsey, I think you can put a line through that run, and it's just one of those things that sometimes happen in racing. When your horse is in traffic and can get badly hampered, it can just knock their momentum. I think that's exactly what happened today. So yeah, it was a very frustrating day today, and it has been a frustrating start to March. Okay, I haven't done a video every day this week, but yeah, it hasn't been the best of starts. But fingers crossed we can turn it around at the weekend. Quite a lot of nice action to get stuck into tomorrow. And to be honest with you, I do fancy quite a lot, and I'd be disappointed if we couldn't put up a few winners here. So let's get straight into it then. We're going to be starting with my nap for tomorrow, which is going to be running in the Grade 2 Novice Hurdle at Kelso, the 130. Now, if you've already listened to the In the Saddle podcast, you probably know what it is, because I've put it up as my nap of the weekend, and that is Bareback Jack for champion jockey Brian Hughes, and he's riding for Donald McKay. Now, if you've been following my work here on my YouTube channel over the last few weeks or so, you might remember I put up Bareback as my nap when he won at Musselburgh. He won the Scottish Supreme Novices Hurdle Trial there, where I thought he did a really good job that day, toughing it out from the front. And I don't think it was no fluke that he beat Third Time Lucky. I think he would have held on, despite him on ratings anyway being a more classier rival. But I think Bareback Jack has been underestimated on quite a few of his starts, but he just keeps pulling it out the fire. I think he keeps improving on every single run, and from what I've seen so far this season, I think he could be the real deal in novice hurdles, and it's yet to see where his limitations lie. So I think he's got a cracking chance in this race tomorrow. Now, I know he is rated 137, and on ratings he is having to give away a bit of weight to some rivals that are higher rated than him, but I don't really care about ratings in the nature of this race, because I do think Bareback Jack could be a 145 plus horse in time. I think he's a really classy hurdler, and he's done some good things so far this season. I was really impressed by his win on his debut effort at Musselburgh, and also as well his win at Catterick, where he jumped beautifully that day, and he really did show he had a nice engine, and a lot of his form has been working out from those novice hurdle runs. And also as well his win last time at Musselburgh, only one horse has run so far, that was Democratic Oath, and he went on to win a novice hurdle at Sedgefield quite comfortably. Okay, he might not set the world alight, but at least we've got a nice little form boost there. And also as well, Belfast Banter, I should have said, he actually has run, and he ran okay the other weekend behind Echoes and Rain over in Ireland. So the form doesn't look too bad for it, and I think Bareback Jack has got a lively chance in here. Also as well, I think the drying out ground will help. At Musselburgh last time it was soft, and soft at Musselburgh isn't normally that testing because it drains so well, but I think the drying out ground at Kelso will help him out even more tomorrow. And I think in this race he's got a cracking chance. And I couldn't believe his price of 11-2. I thought he should be vying for favouritism in this race, and I think he'll take all the beating. I know my Drogo does have form with Soaring Glory, but I think Soaring Glory really had his excuses that day. And the second place horse of Tom Simmons, called Landonabo Lad, he hasn't really done too much to boost that form since. I don't think my Drogo's form is as good as it first seems. So yeah, I think Bareback Jack tomorrow, I think he's been underestimated in this market, and I'm hoping we can get off to a winning nap to start the day there at Kelso. So Bareback Jack is going to be my nap for Saturday. We then move on to the feature race at Newbury, the 150. This is going to be an extra tip. Now again, if you've listened to the In the Saddle podcast, you probably know what my selection is for this race, and it's going to be Killer Clown for Adam Wedge and Emma Lavelle. Now, I was really gutted last time because I didn't have a penny on when he absolutely hacked up at Kempton. He beat Falco Blitz that day, who's boosted the form to somewhat of a degree by winning the other week at Seville. So it's nice to see that form boost, but he absolutely romped home, and the handicapper has had his say. He did raise him £15 for that effort to a mark of 138, but I still think he could be better than that mark. I think he's easily still a 140 plus horse, and the handicapper still hasn't got to the bottom of him, and he's still a lightly raced horse. You know, he's a 7-year-old, he's going in the right direction, and I just think there's lots to like about him. I actually put him up a couple of times earlier on in the season. I remember putting him up at Exeter when he made a really eye-catching move, but just didn't stay in the closing stages of the race. I put him up when he unseated his rider at the first at Uttoxeter in a race that worked out quite well, and I kind of lost the faith after that, so I was absolutely gutted when he won at Kempton, considering I didn't have a penny on. And I think I also as well put him up when he finished third at Sandown. So yeah, I kind of missed the boat last time, but I'm going in with him here because I do think he has a cracking chance. I know Grand Sancy is going for Paul Nicholls, who's got a fantastic record in this race, but I'm a little bit concerned about Grand Sancy because it was reported last time he had wind issues after he put in a dismal display at Wincanton in the Grade 2 race there, and as a result we haven't seen him have a wind op, or he's not trying to tongue tie tomorrow, so that would make me worry there. They're normally aids that would help with his breathing. So I do think that Killer Clown is the one they all have to be, and I think he's the most progressive in the lineup. And also as well, it was good to see Emma Lavelle have a winner at Newbury earlier on today with a nice horse there with, I think it was a horse called Hawkwell. So a lot to like about Killer Clown's chances tomorrow. You can currently back him at the time recording at 9-2. I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection. That price was available with SkyBet, who are paying 5 places, and I'll be disappointed really if he couldn't go very close. So he's going to be an extra tip of the day. We then go to Doncaster for the listed mares novice hurdle, and we're going to be going with a horse here called Wynn House for Tom Cannon and Alan King. Now I actually put this horse up on a series I did a little bit towards the end of last summer or in the autumn time, called Eye Catchers. I've just been so busy, I just haven't had the time to do those videos, but I actually did put this horse up as one of my eye catchers because I was really taken when she won at Bangor and D, and she went on a nice little roll after that. She went on to win at Ludlow, and then she ran really respectably last time out at Cheltenham in a graded hurdle against the boys, and she was staying on quite strongly that day. Now the form of that race hasn't worked out particularly well. I know Rebecca Curtis's horse has disappointed, and so has Fergal O'Brien's horse, but I still think that was a really credible effort taking on the boys, and she's dropping back tomorrow into Mare's Company. We haven't seen her for a while, but we know she can go well fresh, and the good ground is key to her. It's going to be lovely, good ground to Doncaster tomorrow, so nothing to worry about for her here. She does have a rating of 124, and there are a couple of fillies in here that do have slightly higher ratings, but I think she's got a lot of scope for development. She's a good jumper, and I could see her travelling really strongly into the race, and I think she'll take all the beating. At the current time of recording, she was generally available with most firms at 15-8. I'm going to recommend a 1-point win bet here for Tom Cannon and Alan King, and fingers crossed we can get a next best. Short and sweet with that one, but I just think is a bit of a banker material tomorrow, so that's why she is going to be my next best of the day. We then go back to Newbury for the 2:30 for an extra tip here with a horse called Glynn for Nico de Boinville and Nicky Henderson. Now, I actually put this horse up when he was pulled up last time in the Lanzarote hurdle, and I thought he was travelling really well and he was just about to make a move, but then he just went out like a light. I don't know what the hell went wrong. I didn't read anything in vet reports or anything to suggest that they were worried or something came to light. It was a bit of an odd one, really. Go back and watch the race if you haven't done so already. But yeah, Glynn, I think he's a really interesting runner, and I do think he's potentially well handicapped of a mark of 133. Generally, at the moment, you can currently back him at 6-1. I think that's a fair each way price down. I'm going to take my chances and put him up as an extra tip with a 0.5 each way selection here. But like I said, I think off a mark of 133, he definitely has races in him. Now, the key to him, I think, is the better ground, so that's going to definitely suit him at Newbury tomorrow. But I thought his run at Doncaster was quite encouraging when he bumped into a horse of Paul Nicholls called Echo, and Echo's done a couple of good things for the form. He's won, and also as well, I think he's run a couple of good races, finished in second. I remember him finishing second at Kempton last week behind a Stuart Edmonds horse. So yeah, Echo's not a bad yardstick really, and I think dropping back to 2 miles won't be an issue at all for him. He's actually run so far, when we've seen him for Nicky Henderson, over slightly further, over 2.5, 2-3, those kind of trips. But I could see him travelling really strongly into the race tomorrow. And if he gets a good pace to aim at, I imagine Chris Gordon's horse, Highway 102, Free Gurn, Buzzy Sort, will like to go from the front tomorrow. And if he can get nicely sailed and switched off under Nico, I think it'll come with a late winning run, and I think he'll pull clear from the rest. And I think Glynn tomorrow's got a standout chance in this race, so that's why I'm putting him up as one of my extra tips of the day. That's Glynn in the 2:30 at Newbury. We then go to the 3:15 for the Moor Battle Hurdle, one of the feature races on the card at Kelso tomorrow, and this is where my long shot's going to be in this race, and I really do fancy it to go very close. Now, this is the horse that finished second to Bareback Jack in his latest run at Musselburgh, and that's Tommy's Oscar. You can currently back him at 9-1 with bookmakers at the moment. That price was available at the time recording with Betfair and Paddy, who are paying 5 places on the race, trained by Anne Hamilton, who's had a good season with the likes of Nutswell, and Danny McMenamin is booked for the ride. Now, this horse, I think, could be an absolute shoo-in off the mark of 133. I followed him quite a few times this season when he's won some novice events at Newcastle and Sedgefield, and also as well, he absolutely roused up on his handicap debut at Musselburgh when he won off a mark of 124 very, very impressively. And I think in a race of this nature tomorrow, he could be really deadly. I think a good strong pace, which I think they will go, will definitely suit him. He's a strong travelling type, and he really did hit the line hard at Musselburgh last time after being outpaced. He's definitely a strong travelling horse that definitely finds the pressure, and I like that about him. I think he's got a good attitude, and I think just because he's with Anne Hamilton, that's why he's a slightly bigger price tomorrow. I think he should be vying it out for favouritism in this race. And also as well, a lot of his form, especially his handicap form and his novice form, has worked out quite well. And I think, like I said, off a mark of 133, I think he's really well treated tomorrow. And again, I think the good ground will play to his strengths too. So I think there's a lot to like about his chances in here tomorrow. And I think come post time, he could be vying it out for favouritism. I really think Tommy's Oscar's got a fantastic chance in the Moor Battle Hurdle. So that's why he's going to be my long shot of the day. We then end with an extra tip, which runs in the 3:30, the Grimthorpe Chase at Doncaster, where we're putting up Chidswell here for Ryan Day and Nicky Richards. Now, this horse at the time recording is available Paddy, who are paying an extra place in this race. They're paying 3 places and they're paying 6-1, so I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection here for Ryan Day and Nicky Richards. Now, this horse actually won this race a couple of years ago, back in 2019, when he was a worthy winner that day. He was £3 lower, down to the mark of 127, and he's going to be rating off 130 tomorrow, but I do think that's a fairly workable mark for him. Now, this, despite being a small field race, I think it's quite a weak renewal, and I know Canelo will be at the top of the betting in here, and a lot of people think it's a shoo-in for him, but I think he might have reached his ceiling now, and I think he had every chance last time to go very close in the SkyBet chase at Doncaster, where I just don't think he quite got home. Now, this is over 3 miles and 2 furlongs tomorrow, and I think he might struggle to get the trip. And with Chidswell knowing him to be a previous winner, we know he's going to get the trip, and he's going to be getting bags of weight from Canelo tomorrow. We know it's off a workable mark and the good grounds in his favour. He's also as well a bit of a Doncaster specialist because he finished a really respectable staying on third in the SkyBet chase at Doncaster last year. I actually remember backing him that day. I think I put him up as a long shot or something, but I remember I was watching him from the parade ring at Cheltenham because I was doing a little bit of work there that day. But yeah, he was really eye-catching, and I think over this course and distance, I think he's deadly, and I think he's got a cracking chance. And despite being a bit old now, I still think he might have another race left in him. And if you go back through some of his earlier form this season, his best run came at Kelso when he finished third behind a horse called Some Chaos of Michael Scudamore. That was a good run, I think, at the time because he'd been in good form. And I just think Chidswell, like I said, I think he's definitely the one to take on Canelo with tomorrow. And I think he's value at 6-1, especially with the 3 places being offered by Paddy Power. So that's why I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection. So that rounds off my 6 tips for tomorrow's racing. Quickly just go through them then. In the 1:30 at Kelso, Bareback Jack is the nap of the day, 11-2, 1 point win bet. In the 1:50 at Newbury, extra tip, Killer Clown, 9-2, 0.5 each way bet. 5 places on offer with SkyBet there. In the 2:20 at Doncaster, Wynn House is the next best of the day, 15-8, 1 point win bet. Back to Newbury again for the 2:30. Glynn is an extra tip, 6-1, 0.5 each way selection. The long shot of the day runs in the 3:15. More battle hurdle, that's Tommy Oscar, 9-1, 0.5 each way only bet with Betfair and Paddy Power, who are offering 5 places. And to round things off in the 3:30 at Doncaster, Chidswell, 6-1, 0.5 each way bet. That's with Paddy Power, who are offering the extra place, so that means they're paying 3 places in the race with them. So they're the 6 tips for tomorrow's racing. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to my YouTube channel at LuckyLoaders15. Also as well, let me know what you fancy tomorrow in the comments box below. Really enjoy reading your comments, so tell me what you fancy down there below. Also as well, if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's the best place to do so on social media, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, my website address is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.